Good afternoon. I am Becky Ellis, and my case is Moray Junior High School. The Moray Junior High School case is a very interesting study surrounding the issues that can plague school budgeting. This case is very relatable since I was once a school board director and had to vote to approve school budgets. Sometimes budgets were higher than anticipated due to teacher negotiations and contract ratifications. Sometimes there was a need to outsource special education programming to schools that were better equipped to handle the special needs of some students. Sometimes there was the need to cut programming. However, that does not mean that I fully understood the intricacies surrounding the budget process at the time and the extent to how costs can be interrelated. I also did not fully understand the impact of a school program until I had the opportunity to see 3 students stand in front of the board and eloquently fight to save the Mandarin language program in our school. Memorably, one student pleaded to keep the program, stating how necessary it was for students like themselves to have the opportunity to study 3 years of Mandarin and travel abroad for a semester to become fluent in the language while still in high school. Even though it was one of the least utilized courses, it was one of the most impactful due to the quality of the education provided. As a last resort, whenever budgeting or contract negotiations threatened to push our costs over our budgeted income, there was always the option of raising taxes if necessary.
Today, more than $1 billion could be cut from public schools on March 1st if action isn't taken. Matt Galka was there as Superintendent Kathy Hoffman gave her State of the Schools address to a Senate committee this afternoon, and he joins us live now from the Capitol with more. Matt.
Well, the check was written for schools last year when the legislature set the budget for the upcoming school year. But Arizona's superintendent painted a very bleak picture about what could happen if that money doesn't come through.
The Moray Junior High School case alludes to many of the issues that I had previously experienced, but the main problem in this case is the budget reduction by nearly 12%, which reduces the school's budgeted income from $2,492,947 to $2,200,000. The school has already budgeted for $2,492,947 with very little wiggle room, so concessions in the form of cuts or changes will have to be made to balance the budget. Raising taxes is not mentioned as an option to this study, nor is outsourcing of programs at a cost savings to the school. Current challenges to the budget include maintaining a 15-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio, since Moray Junior High School is viewed as an outstanding school largely attributed to the existing low student-to-teacher ratio. Another challenge is deciding if the Spanish language program should remain in place, which has received accolades due to the quality of the programming provided. The program currently serves 180 students, or 60 students per teacher. There is one lead Spanish teacher with a salary of $35,000 and 2 regular Spanish teachers that are paid $25,000 each, which eliminates a need for a substitute teacher to be budgeted for the program. However, the depreciation on the lab equipment is high at $40,000 annually, but if the equipment were to be disposed of, there would be no resale value, even for scrap. Another issue is determining the true class sizes and supplies needed. With 690 students enrolled, it is anticipated that 650 students will be present on any given day, which means that instructional supplies and library costs may be over budgeted. The goal is to determine by how much. Lastly is the issue of considering indirect costs, how they are calculated, and if they can be reduced in any way. Due to the uncertainty of how indirect costs are related to direct costs, it is unknown as per how to lower them or if they can be lowered at all. As a result of the potential challenges presented, there are 3 viable alternatives that will balance the budget, but each alternative will be met with great reluctancy on both the part of the teachers and the parents of students attending Moray Junior High School. The first is to raise the current student-to-teacher ratio from 15:1 to 20:1. The second option is to reduce or eliminate the Spanish language program and make up the remaining difference by raising the current student-to-teacher ratio. The third is to institute a combination of cuts and reductions which include the following: a reduction in the number of Spanish teachers, a reduction in instructional supplies from a total of 690 anticipated enrolled students to 650 anticipated students present on any given day of school, and lastly, an increase in the average class size. To begin to analyze the alternatives and try to distinguish which alternative is best for Moray Junior High School, it is first necessary to recreate the budget as presented in the Adobe document into an interactive budget. The budget that is shown below has been inserted from the Excel workbook that was created to allow for interacting with the originally proposed budget. What is not shown, but is located just to the right of the viewable portion of this budget worksheet, is the breakdown of costs and connected student attendance, regular class size, and proportion calculations, which act as drivers to allow for modifications to the budget without having to recreate the budget. By creating an interactive budget, there is enhanced flexibility in the ability to analyze the linkages between direct and indirect costs. This allows the user to view the effects of a change in the average classroom size, see how budgeting for 650 students comprised of an estimated 579 regular and 71 special education students instead of 690 students changes the budgeted amount for instructional supplies needed. It also allows for modifications by adding or removing teachers in the Spanish language program, or by removing the Spanish language program altogether. An interactive budget can also be used in presenting the budget to administration, teachers, and parents, allowing them to see the direct effects of making these changes almost instantaneously. Adjustments that had to be accounted for include adding rounding to the formula when calculating the number of teachers needed, for example, because a well-constructed budget should not account for half of a teacher. That is not to say that an interactive budgeting tool is not without its limitations. It may cause concern among parents or staff or raise more questions than it answers by providing insight into other areas that were not previously discussed. Variations of the current budget that were produced to arrive at potential alternatives include a 20:1 student-to-teacher ratio, which would be a quick way to come in under budget at a negative $1,893. This would initially keep parents and 180 students happy by keeping the Spanish language program fully intact, but would cause additional strain on the teachers, leading to a potential strike as a result of cutting positions to allow for the 20:1 student-to-teacher ratio. As recently as 2018, large class sizes were a known issue in Arizona, with the Red for Ed movement encouraging supporters to back lower classroom sizes. The second alternative is a 17:1 student-to-teacher ratio and cutting the Spanish program in its entirety. By cutting the Spanish program entirely, the budget is still over by $142,847. However, by increasing the student-to-teacher ratio to 17:1, the result comes in under budget at negative $4,573. It can be argued that the existing student-to-teacher ratio of 15:1 is almost left completely intact, since it is estimated that there will only be 650 students physically present within the school on any given day. This would make the average classroom size a little over 16 on any given day based upon anticipated attendance. However, teachers will still be responsible for instructional preparation and homework review based upon the actual number of students enrolled. What makes this option tremendously unpopular is that it completely cuts the Spanish language program. The impact of cutting the Spanish language program entirely is a reduction in budget by only $150,100, which can easily be argued is not worth the impact that the cut will have on the students and the reputation of the school for its superior language program. The third alternative is to reduce the Spanish department, reduce instructional supplies, and increase the regular class size to 19:1. This budget allows for various options, with two of them shown below. Both option 1 and option 2 are under budget. With that said, option 2 makes the most sense since it allows for the reduction of only one regular Spanish teacher position, resulting in 120 students having the opportunity to take the course while still coming in under budget. Items to note is that it is impossible to reduce the Spanish language program and still have a significant enough impact on the budget so that there is no need for other cuts. It is also important to note that by eliminating the Spanish language program altogether, that there is still the need for additional cuts. As a result, the best budget option is that of alternative 3, option 2, which is to reduce the Spanish department, reduce instructional supplies, and increase the regular class size to 19:1. Alternative 3, option 2, allows for one lead teacher and one regular teacher in the Spanish program, which potentially eliminates the need for a substitute teacher, but still allows for substitute teachers as needed by coming in under budget by $6,365. Of this amount, $5,893 of the remaining $6,365 can then be added as a line item for substitute teachers under the Spanish language program. With this done, $5,893 goes towards the line item itself, and $472 automatically calculates into health and life insurance for the potential substitute teachers. The disposal of the language lab equipment to allow for a $40,000 per year cost savings is not a significant enough savings to advocate for the complete elimination of the Spanish program. In addition, should there be an increase in the budgeted income in subsequent years, it would be much easier to add a teacher and to fully reinstate the program than it would be to start from scratch and try to reconstruct the program. The change in regular class size is key to making this budget work. It accounts for a $265,356 reduction in the budget. This reduction is not to be taken lightly, as there are two immediate effects: the reduction in teachers' positions as well as the increase in average class size from 15:1 to 19:1. With regards to the class size, the argument to help smooth the proposed 19:1 student-to-teacher ratio is that the expected class size on any one day is anticipated to be 17 to 18 students, as per the estimation of 650 students present on any given school day. However, it is recognized that whether the student is present or not, there is still the understanding that the amount of instructional preparation required and the amount of student schoolwork to be reviewed remains unchanged. The realization that instructional supplies can be budgeted for 650 students instead of 690 students is what allows alternative 3, option 2, to come in under budget. Even though $6,956 in savings due to the reduction in instructional supplies appears to be nominal, the difference is enough to cover the $591 shortfall that would have otherwise been created without having it built into the option 2 budget. The result is a balanced budget. As the individual who's preparing this budget, I understand the gravity of proposing such a budget as Alternative 3, Option 2. The flexibility that is proposed in this budget provides what makes this budget stand apart from the other two options. Should there be an increase in funding in subsequent years, the ability to add a regular Spanish teacher to increase the Spanish language program's student capacity back up to 180 still exists. It is still possible to decrease the 19-to-1 ratio if future funding allows for more regular instruction teachers to be hired. There is also the potential to reanalyze the instructional supply allocation in the future to see if it makes sense to budget on an enrollment or estimated attendance basis. In conclusion, both of my sisters-in-law are teachers, one of whom lost her job several years ago due to budget cuts to the special education program at her school. I saw the impact that it had on my family personally, and I do not take that lightly. Also, I am bilingual, having had the opportunity to personally learn Spanish through junior and senior high school. Being bilingual has opened several opportunities to me that I otherwise would not have had, from traveling to various Spanish-speaking countries and being able to communicate with people in their own language, to accepting several jobs which required the ability to be bilingual. I even had the ability to campaign in both English and Spanish when I ran for school board, which was invaluable in my ability to be elected to the position. From my own experiences, cutting the Spanish language program at Moray Junior High School would be a great disservice to the children and to the communities in which they will one day serve. That is why it is necessary to make the adjustments, as noted in Alternative 3, Option 2, in the short term, to keep this program in place for years to come. Thank you.